You know that feeling when the ground beneath your feet just suddenly shifts? Like everything you so carefully built is just about to collapse? Finding stability when life throws you a massive curveball is incredibly difficult. But what if the secret to standing firm isn't actually about how strong the storm is, but entirely about how you see yourself within it? Today, in this explainer, we are exploring the architecture of inner resilience. Because these next few minutes, they could literally mark the beginning of a completely new way of handling your hardest days. Seriously, when life shakes your foundation, do you actually know how to remain standing? In those super overwhelming moments of personal crises, whether it's a sudden career change, a painful personal loss, or just a really massive failure, it is so easy to feel completely helpless and afraid. We kind of just feel like total victims of our circumstances. So I really want you to ask yourself right now, how do you currently handle these unexpected tremors? Do you just sort of brace for impact and hope for the best, or do you have an actual strategy?
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand how to survive, we need to look at this brilliant observation made by a gardener right after a massive storm. On one side, you've got the mighty oak tree. It's stiff, it's rigid, and it is deeply set in its ways. When those brutal winds hit, it simply snapped. But on the other side, we have the willow tree. Now, it doesn't look quite as tough, but it is incredibly flexible. It bent with the gale, it adapted to the sudden change, and it ultimately survived. The lesson here is absolutely paramount. Mental flexibility, not rigid stubbornness, is the real key to surviving a crisis and adapting to sudden failure. So, how exactly do we become the willow? Well, we're going to walk through a structured playbook for adapting to change. We'll cover 5 specific shifts: surviving the storm, focusing on the present, shifting your internal identity, the lesson of bamboo, and finally, controlling thoughts and building discipline.
Starting with Section 1, surviving the storm and the need for adaptability. Listen, the core premise we've got to accept right out of the gate is that surviving a crisis is rarely about the external strength of the storm itself. It is entirely about your internal perspective while you are inside it. The storm is just the weather. Your adaptability is your actual shelter.
Moving to Section 2, focus on the present, which acts as our anchor. To really understand this one, let me introduce you to Marco. Marco was completely overwhelmed by the storms of his life. He was totally paralyzed by these deep regrets about his past and some really terrifying anxieties about his future. It got so bad the guy couldn't even sleep. Desperate, he sought out a wise teacher for some help.
And the teacher gives Marco what sounds like a deceptively simple task. He hands him a glass of water, filled to the absolute brim, and says, "Walk across the busy village. Don't spill a single drop." So Marco takes the glass and painstakingly makes his way through these bustling, incredibly chaotic streets. When he successfully gets back, the teacher asks him what he noticed in the village, and Marco realizes he hadn't noticed the noise or the crowds or the chaos at all. His intense concentration on the water completely eliminated all that external noise. And that brings us to shift number 1, focus on the present. When your mind stays strictly in the here and now, you practically eliminate the mental space required for fear, confusion, and future anxiety to even exist. I mean, peace isn't some magical destination you find outside of yourself, right? Peace is simply what happens when you stop letting your thoughts wander off into a future you have absolutely zero control over. Section 3. Shift your internal identity, or the seed. Now you might be wondering, okay, that's great, but how do I maintain that incredible focus when my whole world is literally falling apart? Well, that logical question leads us perfectly to the core seed of resilience, your internal identity. There's this fantastic parable about a beggar who truly believed he had absolutely nothing to give to the world. Because he saw himself as having nothing, he spent his entire life just passively receiving very, very little. That was his entire reality until one profound realization hit him. Even a beggar can be a businessman if he offers something in return. So he started offering a simple flower to people, and by doing this, he stopped seeing himself as small and helpless and suddenly started seeing his own potential.
When you're in the middle of a crisis, the absolute most destructive habit is falling into the victim mindset. Telling yourself, "I am broken and unlucky." You have to actively pivot to the growth mindset. "I am capable and strong." Life is fundamentally shaped by how we view ourselves. If you can just recognize your inner potential, you can act with greatness even when the world feels like it's ending. Always remember, self-perception dictates potential. When your thoughts change, your future changes right along with them.
All right, Section 4, the lesson of bamboo and strengthening roots. It's time we address a very real frustration here.
What happens when you actually shift your mindset? You put in all this hard work during a crisis, but you see absolutely zero results.
And this brilliantly illustrates the point. For years 1 through 4, the bamboo farmer waters the seed with zero visible progress above ground. Other plants are growing tall all around it, while the farmer is, well, seemingly just watering dirt, right? But then, in the 5th year, over just 6 weeks, the bamboo shoots up an astonishing 80 feet. In fact, some bamboo species can grow over 3 feet in a single day. So was it doing nothing for 4 years? No way. It was busy strengthening a massive root system entirely underground.
The takeaway here is absolutely vital for us. Don't let the silence of a crisis make you think you're failing. Resilience is exactly like that bamboo. Your hard work and your small daily habits might feel completely invisible right now. You might honestly feel like you're just watering dirt. But be patient. You are building the invisible, vital foundation that will support your massive future growth.
And finally, Section 5, control thoughts and build discipline. This is the soil that actually allows those roots to grow. If we want to truly outlast the storm, we need specific daily habits and some very tight control over our internal dialogue. Think about this quote for a second. A man can lose a kingdom because of one single greedy thought. Our own negative thoughts can do vastly more damage than any external enemy or crisis ever could. If we let negativity take root, we completely lose our peace of mind. Every single action you take starts with a single thought. That thought becomes a habit, and that habit eventually shapes your entire future. We literally have to guard our minds fiercely. So how do we practically pull this off? Well, by building concrete mental discipline. First, practice gratitude. Write down 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small they are. This physically shifts your brain from complaining to appreciating. Second, build a simple daily routine, like just waking up at the exact same time every day. Third, exercise for just 10 minutes. And yes, a brisk, panicked walk to the coffee machine totally counts, but actual exercise is definitely better. Why does this matter? Because these small daily steps prove that discipline is infinitely more reliable than motivation. Motivation fades the second things get tough. Discipline is what actually carries you through. If you can train your mind like a coach trains an athlete to focus on the target and ignore the distractions, success is going to follow. Okay, let's quickly summarize the playbook we've built today. Here are your 5 resilience shifts. First, focus on the present. Remember Marco's water glass to eliminate that anxiety. Second, shift your internal identity. Be the beggar who realized he actually had something to offer. Third, practice patience. Remember the bamboo silently building its roots underground. Fourth, practice gratitude to guard your mind. And fifth, favor discipline over motivation to just keep moving forward every single day. So what does this all mean for you right now? Which one of these shifts will you try first? Don't just consume this information and move on. Take immediate action on your personal resilience journey today. Until next time, be patient, be thankful, and whatever you do, keep moving forward.